Alright everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to be deciding my 26-man squad for the Euros. And if you are new, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, all that good stuff. Let's not waste any time. Let's try and make this as quick as possible so I don't bore you guys. And hopefully it is under about 10 minutes. Hopefully so, hopefully so.
Very false. Very false.
Anyway, so we will jump straight into the teams. As you can see on my screen right now, I am on tacticalboardonline.com and I've literally just written out all of the players. As you can see, I'm dragging Lingard onto the pitch here. I've written out all of the players in sort of like 3 different squads and what position I think they'll be playing in. So we will start off with my starting team, and I think the formation I'm going to go with is a 4-3-3. I think if Harry Maguire gets injured, then we will be playing a 3 at the back. But for the time being, we'll say a 4-3-3, and that's what we'll work with today. So in goal, who do I start off with in goal? The 4 choices are Aaron Ramsdale, Sam Johnston, Dean Henderson and Jordan Pickford. I think the starting goalkeeper is going to be Jordan Pickford. The reason I think this is because Dean Henderson was dropped in the Europa League final. Clearly Ole Gunnar Solskjaer doesn't quite trust Dean Henderson at this current moment in time, which is why he played David De Gea. And so Jordan Pickford will be my starting goalkeeper for the time being. And as we all know, I've been talking about Henderson, so let's just chuck him in as the next player. Those 2 guaranteed. We'll go through the rest of the team and we'll go through the rest of the guaranteed players to be in the squad for me. Trent Alexander-Arnold for me. I know he's not had the greatest of years considering Trent standards. I think he has to be in the team. Stones has to be in the team as well. Harry Maguire has to be in the team. Luke Shaw and Ben Chilwell, they both have to be in the team for me. I've had 2 good seasons. The defence, I think, other than maybe Trent Alexander-Arnold, has had a wobbly season in patches. I think a lot of people are looking at Trent and saying, oh, he's had this awful season. He hasn't. He's just maybe not been at his best. It's still been a good season and Liverpool haven't been at their best either, so it's a little bit harsh just to blame it all on Trent Alexander-Arnold realistically. And then we move into midfielders. I think Declan Rice is a nailed on starter. I think he'll be the starting player, especially with Henderson, who looks like he's coming back. I think as well Henderson will be a nailed-on starter if he's playing, and I can see him not playing in a defensive role but in sort of alongside Declan Rice. Then another nailed-on starter I think we have is Mason Mount. I think Mount's talked his way into this team at this current moment in time, scoring in the quarterfinals of the Champions League and the semi-finals. Not bad going. We will move on to Harry Kane, and the rest of them, I don't really know who are going to be starters out of this team. These are the players who I think are sort of nailed on starters, obviously other than Chilwell and Henderson, but they are the 2 that I think don't need to worry about their place whatsoever. Then we move on to other players into this squad. And I think there is a few players who don't need to worry about their position in the squad entirely, but their position in the starting 11. And one of those is Raheem Sterling. I've popped him on the left here. He seems to be more comfortable on the left nowadays than when he used to be. But I think he needs to be aware that maybe he's not had the best season. He'll still be in the team, and to be honest with you, he probably will start. But I think this man, Jack Grealish, maybe deserves a little bit more to be ahead of Raheem Sterling in this squad. He's had a better season all round, but don't get me wrong, it's like Trent Alexander-Arnold. Sterling hasn't had an awful season. It's just the high expectations we set for these players. The final player who fits in to that category is Marcus Rashford. And Marcus Rashford, again, I think is a player who I was disappointed with in the Europa League final. I think most Manchester United fans were. But you know, I don't think he deserves to be out of the squad by any stretch of the imagination. I just wonder who's going to start out of those 3, whether it would be Grealish, Sterling or Rashford. Grealish obviously has the benefit that if he wanted to, he could maybe play in this role where Mason Mount looks like he's going to play. But we'll have to wait and see, won't we? We'll have to wait and see. That does leave us with... We've got 14 players picked, so we have another 12 players left to pick. And another instant one for me here is Jaden Sancho. I think Sancho looks one of the most comfortable out on that right-hand side, so he has to be in the team. And Phil Foden as well, out on this right-hand side. So 2 absolute picks for me. Whether we start Sancho or whether we start Foden, I'm not overly bothered, to be honest with you, but I think they'll both provide something for this team. Then we get into the territory of players where I don't necessarily know who is going to be picked, and this is going to be the challenging section for this. And obviously this isn't a prediction, this is my team, this is who I would personally take to the Euros. So we have the 14 or so players on the screen right now. We will start off with, where can we start off with? The easy picks. Jude Bellingham for me is an easy pick. I think after the season he's had for Borussia Dortmund, I definitely think he deserves a place in this team. Over the likes of Maddison, maybe so, but I guess they're playing for different positions, aren't they, realistically? That's why I've put him in alongside Jordan Henderson in that position. In fact, swap him over. I think he'll be more in the Mason Mount role. Moving on, the next player I think is going to go no matter what is Calvin Phillips. I think we need a backup CDM. We've obviously got Jordan Henderson, who could probably do that, but Phillips is probably better than Henderson in that pivot role, and I think he works better as a single pivot rather than a double pivot, but we'll have to test it, we'll have to see in the Euros. The next person who, because as you can see we've still only got one right back on the screen and it is hotly contended, my next right back is going to be Rhys James. The reason I've gone with Rhys James is he's a very versatile player. He can play right of the three now, he can play right wing back, he can play right back, and he can play centre midfield as well. So he's plenty of versatility with Rhys James being in that squad. Same with Trent Alexander-Arnold, and that's what Gareth Southgate is really emphasising about picking all these fullbacks, is where they can play for the team. Moving on, I need to, oh my gosh, looking at these players, all of them deserve to sort of be in with a shout here. I'll get onto the striker debate. The striker debate is a hard one. Calvert-Lewin versus Ollie Watkins, who deserves it more? I mean, they've both had good seasons. Calvert-Lewin's goals have dried up a little bit. Maybe Ollie Watkins is something a little bit different to Harry Kane if you're going to go for a different swap. But then, do you need that extra swap of a player when you've got Rashford who can come and play through the middle as well? That is my question. And as I don't think we need that swap of a player, I think we've got enough talent, even if it ends up being a false nine. I think I'm going to go with Dominic Calvert-Lewin as that next striker. I know this is all a bit higgledy-piggledy, but we will get there. We are now on
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18.
19 players. We have 7 left. 7 players left. Next up, I think it automatically has to be James Ward-Prowse. James Ward-Prowse, for me, is one of the best set-piece specialists we've had since David Beckham, and I think that'll be vital to us late on in games and stuff like that. Obviously, we've got Trent, who can take these set pieces, and Mason Mount has taken a few set pieces, but having James Ward-Prowse it's another level, isn't it? It's another level, and it adds more depth to this squad. And then we go down to the final 6 players. Who's going to make it? Who's going to miss out? And we need another goalkeeper, so we'll move on to another goalkeeper. I think it's a hard one, because if you'd have asked me last season, I'd have gone with Adam Ramsdale over Sam Johnston. Over Sam Johnston this season, to be honest with you. But I don't know. To be honest with you, I don't think you can reward goalkeepers for getting relegated. I think Alex McCarthy's maybe a little bit harshly done to there. But we're here, and the problem is for both of them, they're both sometimes kind of good, sometimes kind of bad.
Sometimes maybe good, sometimes maybe shit.
I really don't know. I'm going to have to go with Sam Johnston, just because he's been in the England setup once before, and I think he's more likely to, rather than being the under-21s goalkeeper. I think Adam Ramsdale will have his future, though. Aaron? Hey Siri. Is it Aaron Ramsdale or Adam Ramsdale?
Okay, I found this on the web for is it Aaron Ramsdale, Adam Robbinsdale?
Oh, Aaron Ramsdale. Whoops. I think Aaron Ramsdale will have his time in the future, but at this current moment in time, he needs to be looking forward to the next World Cup and getting a solid season under his belt. That leaves us with 5 players left, and as you can see, we only have 2 centre-halves currently. We have Maguire and we have John Stones, and it's all getting a little bit hectic in here, so we'll try and make this as neat as possible. We're going to take Tyrone Mings. The reason I am taking Tyrone Mings is Tyrone Mings, number one, I think is a little bit of a leader, and I think that's going to be important to this England side. Taking leaders, Maguire, Henderson, Rice, Pickford's a bit of a leader. Kane, Sterling can be a leader. Rashford can be a leader. I think that's very, very important to this England side. And I think Mings, as well as being a left footer, is a bit of a leader as well for Aston Villa. And hopefully that can transpire and carry over to this team. I'm actually going to take a third right back. I don't think we need any more than 3. I don't know if I'm going to be tempted. Who am I tempted by? Trippier or Walker? I mean, I understand quite a few people think Walker's mistake prone. I do get that. But tell me a player in that defence that isn't mistake prone. Exactly. And that is why Kyle Walker sneaks into the squad. I think they're all going to be mistake prone. Every footballer realistically is in this generation. And unfortunately, that's just how it is. But Kyle Walker for me is going to the Euros. Oh, now it is crunch time. Now it is crunch time. So the players we have left: Ramsdale, Trippier, Cody, White, Godfrey, Saka, Lingard, Mason Greenwood and Ollie Watkins. I'm going to discard Ollie Watkins. I don't think we need another attacker, to be brutally honest with you. Ben White is unfortunate that he's just come in now, but I don't think he will get in over Connor Cody for me. Same with Ben Godfrey, which then leaves me with Saka, Cody, Trippier. I don't think we need Ramsdale either, Lingard and Mason Greenwood. So 5 people fighting for 2 spots. And as you can see, in every position there, we've got at least 2 or 3 players to fill in. But the one where we don't is that second centre-back role. And despite the fact that Luke Shaw can play as a left centre-back if we wanted to, Declan Rice can play as a centre-back, and so can Rhys James can play as a right centre-back. But I am going to go with Connor Cody, again, talking about that leadership, which I mentioned earlier. Very much a leader and a fantastic footballer as well, Connor Cody. A little bit harsh this season on Wolves generally. And finally, that does take us to 25 men, and we have 4 players left. And my question is, Lingard, do we need him? That is a brutally honest question. Rashford, Sterling, Grealish, Foden, Sancho, Mount, all could, if they wanted to, play in that number 10 role, just off the striker. I don't think we need Jesse Lingard. Mason Greenwood, on the other hand, it's so difficult, this. Mason Greenwood, on the other hand, I'm not sure. I tell you what, I am glad that it's Gareth Southgate having to do this, not me, because this is so difficult, this final 3 players. Because Trippier has had a wonderful season, Saka has had a wonderful season, Mason Greenwood has had a wonderful season. I think I'm going to go a bit controversial here, and I'm going to take a 4th right back. I'm actually going to take a 3rd right back. I don't think we need any more than 3. And I know it sounds stupid, but I do buy into Gareth Southgate's idea that he sees 4 terrific footballers. And Trippier can play at that right back role, or he can play at left back. And I think I'm going to stick with Trippier. He might not start, he might not play. But over Saka, I don't think Saka brings really that much that Shaw or Chilwell don't. Yes, he can play left wing, but we don't need him left wing, so why would we take him left wing? And Greenwood the same. He can play as a striker, he can play as a right midfielder. That is the one thing though. He can play as a right midfielder, and so can Foden and Sancho, but maybe that would sway me a little bit more. It's definitely closer between Trippier and Greenwood. But that is the squad I'm going with, and I'll just run through it now. We've got Pickford, Henderson, Johnston, Shaw, Chilwell, Trippier, Maguire, Mings, Stones, Cody, Alexander-Arnold, Rhys James, Walker, Calvin Phillips, Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, Mason Mount, Jordan Henderson, James Ward-Prowse, Marcus Rashford, Raheem Sterling, Jack Grealish, and then Foden, Sancho and Calvert-Lewin with Captain Fantastic Harry Kane. So that concludes this probably slightly longer video. I know this isn't going to be under 10 minutes. I don't know how I manage it every time, but if you have enjoyed my ramblings about football where I don't really talk about anything in particular, be sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff, and most importantly guys, stay safe. Cheers!